Welcome again to the old principle. 我就是老校长. Well, here we come to a very interesting lesson. Let's take a look at it. Burning wood for heat. 这个烧柴木材 okay, 得到温暖 okay, you can see the stove there. This is number 312. Can you imagine it? This is number 312. This is the last one in this series. But there's more to come. So don't give up. For sure, there are more interesting programs. So let's go through today's program, and maybe I'll say just a little bit more about English at the end. And I think you will look forward to what's coming. But before we do, as is our habit, we will let Mrs. Ash read the story, and then we'll come back and look at it step by step.
Story 312, Burning Wood for Heat. One year I decided to save money on our electrical bill. Our house was heated during the winter by electric heaters. The electrical bill was high. I decided to follow the example of many other people in the Northwest by installing a wood-burning stove. The first task was buying a wood stove. Wood stoves were very expensive. But the father of one of my students offered to design and build a wood stove for us. The wood stove would be placed in the living room fireplace. I had no question about his craftsmanship, but wondered whether he knew how to design an efficient stove. Later on during the winter, when there was 3 feet of snow on the ground, we discovered that his wood stove design was excellent. Now that the stove was ordered, I needed a chainsaw to cut the wood up into pieces. My father had 3 chainsaws, so I asked if he would mind giving me the oldest one. He generously gave it to me. I went down to the local chainsaw dealer and purchased a few more important pieces of equipment, including a new axe for splitting the wood. Now I only had one more problem. How was I going to transport the wood from the mountains down to my home? Then one day I saw an insignificant little newspaper advertisement about a '51 Ford pickup for only $500. I called the man and then went out into the country to see the truck. The truck was very old and a little beat up, but the old man assured us that it ran well. The price was right. We couldn't afford to pass it up. So, for $500, we purchased Old Blue, the name we called the truck. It was not much to look at, but it was a functional vehicle, and it eventually carried lots of wood from the mountains to our home.
Welcome back. Are you ready to go? Let's take a look now. One year, I decided to save money on our electrical bill. Have you had electrical bills? 你的电费好高吗? Do you have high electrical bills? We do. So how do you solve the problem of a high electrical bill? We decided to save on our electrical bill. In other words, we would do something else that in the end, I think it cost us more money. But anyway, it was fun. It was fun, and so here's what we did. Our house was heated during the winter by electric heaters. Okay, 电炉. Okay, so we have these electric heaters, 电炉, and they're in our house. Very expensive. It keeps the house warm. Not bad, but expensive. So the electrical bill was high. 这个电费好高 going on. I decided to follow the example of other people in the Northwest by installing a wood-burning stove. Several things. Where do I live? I live in the Northwest. 我住在西北. So, that's where I live. What do you know about the Northwest? Northwest, lots of trees. Okay, so what's one thing that you have? 很多木材. A lot of wood, trees. So I decided to follow the example, 跟着别人所做的. Okay, 我要做一样. Okay, by installing, 安装, install, 安装. Okay, a wood-burning stove, 会烧木材的一个炉子. Now, there were several things. In the end, maybe it was, like I said, a little bit expensive, but it was fun. 真的是好玩, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about it right now. The first task was buying a wood stove. I did not have a wood stove. Remember, the heaters in my house were electrical heaters. So I needed a wood-burning stove, and I needed somewhere to put it. I can tell you right now, wood stoves, a good wood stove, which you saw a picture, okay, at the beginning of this program, a good wood stove is expensive. Whoa, it's very expensive. And I was just a poor teacher, i.e., that is, I didn't make a lot of, I was just a teacher, I didn't make a lot of money, I had a wife, I had 2 children, you know, so I needed to save money going on. But the father of one of my students offered to design and build a wood stove for us. You know, the parents of your students do many different things. So the father of one of the students, 他是做铁工的. Well, he did everything. He did many different things. Okay, the father of one of my students offered 提供愿意设计 design to design and build a wood stove for us. Now, when I say wood stove, the stove is not made out of wood. It's a wood burning stove. Okay, so he said, I'll design it for you. I'll build it for you. And it will be cheaper. And it was cheaper. Going on. The wood stove would be placed in the living room fireplace. Now, this is the good news. Our house had a fireplace. You know what a fireplace is? 壁炉. It's just kind of an open area with a chimney 有烟囱升上去, and you build a fire there and you have the fire right there. Now, we put the wood stove inside the 壁炉. So it contained itself. It had walls. This was important because you have to control the rate of burning. 它烧的时候要控制它，不要烧得太快。Okay, you know how you do that? I'll tell you a secret. If a fire 缺氧, if it lacks oxygen, it won't burn. So that you close the doors of the stove and the fire slows down. And then you open a little window. You just open a little tiny bit and the air goes in there and the oxygen, 氧气进去啊, and then it starts to get hotter and hotter and bigger and bigger. Okay, now you know why we have a wood-burning stove. Okay, so it's going to be in 客厅, our living room, going on. Now, I had no question about his craftsmanship. 他的技巧很厉害. Craftsmanship, 他的技巧. His skill was very, very good. 手艺, okay, his skill, very good. But I wondered, 我不知道. I wondered whether he knew how to design an efficient stove. 他有没有办法设计一个有效率的一个这个炉子? Okay, a design efficient stove. Some stoves are more efficient than others. They produce more heat. They control the burning better. I mean, so I said, oh, I hope he does a good job. And I didn't know. I wondered, 我不知道. Okay, going on. Later on during the winter, when there was 3 feet of snow, 3英尺就差不多1公尺这么高的雪, okay, on the ground. So there's a lot of snow. 下雪那年下雪很厉害. We discovered, 发现 that his wood stove design, 它的设计 was very good. 好棒，棒极了. Okay, excellent. 好棒. So that's no problem. But we still have getting the stove is one thing. Going on, maybe I'll explain that. Now that the stove was ordered, 已经定了这个炉子, I needed a chainsaw to cut the wood into pieces. A chainsaw, well, the translation I have of a chainsaw is 电锯. There's actually a chain, a piece of metal that goes around. It actually doesn't use 电, 它是用汽油的. But maybe they call it 电锯. In fact, some of them, there are some that use electricity, so I guess that's possible. But we were going up in the high mountains, no electricity up there, so it used gasoline, 是用汽油的. Okay, now we need it to cut 切一块一块的. Going on. My father had 3 chainsaws. 我自己的父亲呢 had 3 chainsaws. 这种电锯. Okay, and so I asked if he would mind. Usually when you say, 你介不介意让我有 one of them? In fact, 我不好意思 ask him, so I was embarrassed. So I said, may I have the oldest one? He had some new ones, some fancy ones. Some they were made 是在国外. Husqvarna was made in 瑞典. But he had an older one, an American one. And I said, sure, hey, Dad, can I have that? And he said, yes. he gave me his chainsaw. Okay, going on. He generously gave it to me. 很慷慨的就把他的chainsaw 这个电锯就给我了。Going on. I went down to the local chainsaw dealer. Okay. How do you say dealer? I better look at this to make sure that he went down to the local chainsaw dealer. Now, this is a person who sells chainsaws and also sells a lot of other things there. Chainsaw dealer, 经销商啊. Okay, 经销商 is a dealer. 经销商. Okay, so I went down there. In fact, I had a friend. One of my students was a 经销商, so it was very convenient. So I purchased a few more important pieces of equipment. 我还需要一些其他的工具啊. So I bought these other pieces of equipment, okay, including a new axe. Why would I need a new axe? 新的斧头. Why? Because if you cut them into pieces, 切一块一块的, okay, and you've cut them up in pieces, after they have dried, you need to 劈开, right? You need to split it up. So I needed to get a new axe, 斧头, so I could split it up into smaller pieces. Going on. Now I only had one more problem. Just one more problem. And then we're ready to go. How was I going to transport the wood from the mountains down to my home? 我怎么能够把山上的这个木材，我切成的一块一块的, how am I going to move this 运下来? Move it from the mountains all the way down. How am I going to do that? This was a problem. But then one day, going on, one day I saw an insignificant little newspaper advertisement. 不起眼的, 不起眼. What is that? Insignificant. It's just a very little tiny advertisement. 这个广告, you've seen them in the newspapers, or at least the English newspapers. You have these little tiny advertisements. So I don't know how anybody can read them, but they do. And so there's this little insignificant, 几乎是看不到的 advertisement about a 1951. When I say 51, I mean 1951 is the year 1951. This 編号 means 1951. 19. You don't see the 19, but 51. Ford 福特 pickup 小货车 for only $500. So I took out my little swan pond and I started to figure $500. Okay, I have $500. I can do that. So I bought a 1951 Ford pickup for only $500. Now, in English, this is, we would say it's a steal. 非常便宜, 非常好. Now, one thing I have learned is in China, have you heard this saying? 一分钱一分货. So this was so cheap. Would this 1951 Ford truck be any good? Good question going on. I called the man and then went out into the country, 他是住在乡下, to see the truck. Wow, the truck. And here's what I saw going on. The truck was very old and a little beat up. Okay, it was an old truck, 1951. Okay, and it was a little beat up, 有一点破旧. Okay, but the old man assured me, 保证,给我保证, he assured me that it ran well. Ran well means that no problem. You start it up and it goes, no problem. To run well means that it travels well, it moves, it works, it does everything very well. For sure, the price was right. 价钱是对的. I mean, for me at least, it was a good price. Going on. We couldn't afford to pass it up. 没办法错过这个机会. There was no way for me to pass this up. So, for $500, we purchased Old Blue, the name we called the truck. Now, $500, 我们就买了 Old Blue. We called the truck Old Blue. Okay, old, of course, you know, is 老, and blue is 蓝色. Okay, okay, we just called him Old Blue. Him, it, the truck, whatever. This is the name we called the truck, Old Blue. Now, it wasn't much to look at. Okay, when you see these words, it wasn't much to look at. That simply means that it didn't look very good. 不很好看,不很好看. It didn't look very good, okay? But it was a functional vehicle. Vehicle 是车子, okay? Functional, that means 有功能的, okay? It worked, it traveled, it carried things. In fact, eventually, 最后, it carried lots of wood. So 运送很多木材 from the mountains down to our home. From the mountains down to our home. Very, very, very interesting. Old Blue. And because it was 破旧, you didn't have to worry about it keeping it really, really nice. But the color was good. And it was very nice. And it worked. And sometimes during the winter, when I needed an extra car, 需要另外一个车子, I'd use Old Blue because it was a good vehicle. 很好的一个车子. Okay, well, before we go any farther, we're about running out of time. I want to just take a moment and say that all of you, this again, as I mentioned in the beginning, is the last one in this series, number 312. Can you imagine? We have looked at 312 stories. Some of them are my own. More recently, they've been my own stories. But many of the stories have been what? Have come off the internet, from friends, from books. I've found stories everywhere. Even now, I am still finding new stories. And we have used these stories to help you with your listening ability. 帮助你的听力. You also learn a little bit of grammar and you learn some new words every time. Even me, I learned some new Chinese words because my Chinese is 非常普通的普通话. So, so whatever the case is, it's been a good experience and you need to keep studying. Now, on this station, you will continue to have more interesting programs. I will continue to do more programs, other kinds of programs. They may run this program again, over and over again. There are 312 stories. So, stay by this station because there will be more interesting programs to follow. But for now, for one last time, at least until the next time, I want to say you can write to us. We have an email address. 我们的电邮的地址是 theoldprinciple@gmail.com. And we have a website, www.theoldprinciple.org. Guess what? It's been great having you for all of these lessons, and I'm sure I'll be back to share something new in the future. So stay by, same time, same station.